Alright, call to order. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There he is.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bill Kehoe.
Hey, Bill, we just did the flag salute, and we're going to move on from there. Just this second, finish the flag salute.
I thought we weren't going to
Okay.
I said may, just in case.
Okay. We're not going to.
All right. That's why I wrote may, so gave you the discretion.
Alright, Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Branchville, Lafayette, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, Star Ledger, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Warren. Mission statement: High Point Regional High School, in partnership with the staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Ms. Keimer.
Here.
Mr. Notaro is not here. Mr. Kehoe.
Present via phone.
Mr. Dunn is not here. Mr. Boyku.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Here.
Mrs. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Veely.
Here.
Dr. Ripley.
Here.
Alright, executive session. We are not going into executive session, so we don't need a motion to return to public session. Go to action items, personnel. Seeking a motion for number one, where we recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approve the appointment of Ms. Lindsay Leduc as assistant principal for the 18-19 school year, effective August 1, 2018, or until such time as she is released from her current district for the 18-19 school year at the annual salary of $100,000 prorated, pending receipt of all required paperwork. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on number one?
I'm sorry, is this on the vice principal?
Good,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, I do. May I have a couple questions?
Good.
Dr. Ripley,
Yes, sir.
was a thorough process done in the review for this candidate?
Yes, we sent out the notice for anticipated vice principal or assistant principal upon approving the, or upon hearing that Mr. Carlson informed me that he had taken the job from Mountain Lakes. A day or two after that, or maybe even that day, we sent out an advertisement for the position listed as anticipated, because the board had yet to accept his resignation. We gave 15 days open for to accept applications. Just one second. Put the doors open. We had 15 days to accept applications. I reviewed. There were 20, in excess of 20. I think 21 or 22 applied. I reviewed them and I sent over a list of the candidates that I believe should be interviewed, and I told that the principal that these were the ones that I believed merited interviews, and it would be up to him if he wanted to add to that number. So there was a committee.
How many was that?
8.
Thank you.
There was a committee of staff members, teachers, paraprofessionals, administrative assistants, and administrators who interviewed the 8 individuals, one of whom was an internal candidate. The committee sent their recommendations to me, which was 2 candidates, neither of whom I was aware of or knew as prospective candidates prior to the process. When I reviewed them, it was clear that they were both very strong. As a matter of fact, the references that Mr. Talmay called communicated that both candidates were likely to be offered administrative jobs this summer. Due to the requirement in candidates' contracts, there's a 60-day clause that they are required to give 60 days to their current contracted employer. I did not, based upon the fact that we've reduced administrators and we would be down, I thought it was best for the district to try to get the candidate in here as quickly as possible, first of all, and to ensure that we got the candidate we wanted without losing them to another district. While I felt comfortable with either candidate, I did believe that we should pursue this, so as not to be bound to the 60 days and to ensure that we got the best candidate. I interviewed both individuals for in excess of an hour and a half, which is not a short amount of time. They were both exceptional. I will tell you personally that I was very, very impressed with both candidates, and it took me at least 2 days, maybe 3, to finally determine that the candidate that I'm putting before you tonight was the best. We did a thorough vetting process and spoke to multiple administrators and superintendents with whom and for whom they worked, and they were nothing but glowing recommendations, all of whom stated that if they don't get this job, they will likely have one before September in another district. I looked at their virtual footprint, if that's the appropriate term, both of whom were exceptional in that realm as well. I even went to the site called ratemyteachers.com, which is, as I've said before, is not a scientific assessment, but it did give me insight into the job for which we are hiring. And the reason I bring that up is the individual that was my second choice, as a matter of fact, the committee of people who sent over the two chose Miss LeDuc as their number one. In the interview, if I were hiring, say, for a director of curriculum position, the other candidate was more polished and more experienced in that capacity and would likely have been the choice. This individual, however, had qualities for the job for which we needed filled, the assistant principal job. I will tell you that I am personally extremely excited to have someone with this set of skills and abilities. She's very confident, an independent thinker, strong, passionate educator who I'm really excited came to us as an opportunity. I did reach out to the former superintendent of Vernon, who is serving now as the director of special services, who said to me, "Yeah, we'll release her, no problem, immediately. However, give me a call." And it was evident that this individual was likely to be offered the assistant principal job in Vernon. I called her up and I said, "Listen, we want you to be a part of what we're doing here. However, people need to feel as if they're fully engaged and fully committed. So it is my understanding, although I'm not sure she knew this, I said, it's my understanding that you're likely to be offered the job in Vernon. I want you to be able to go into this job or that job with a degree of freedom so as not to feel as if you regretted not having taken the other job even though you didn't know it was likely going to be offered." So I said, I would like you to first make sure that if that is where you would prefer to be, that you consider that, because I want the person fully engaged. She said, "Thank you, I'll call you back in an hour." 58 minutes later, she called me and said, "I did not call Vernon. I've been walking around and thinking for the last hour, and I want to be a part of High Point and what you're doing. I hear phenomenal things about High Point, the process, and you were engaging, and I'm very excited, and I would very much love to accept the offer." And that was the process.
I'll make it very brief, if you don't mind. I'm sorry to belabor the thing. Do you believe adequate time went into the process?
We did discuss whether we should have a third interview. If I found that after having interviewed them for an hour and a half that there were questions that with which I was uncomfortable or needed further information, I would have gone to a third interview. I've done that before. We have done that in the past. I'll tell you that when we hired the supervisors, we went through a three-step process rather than the two-step process. So certainly you could say, well, you went with the three, then why the two here? I've also done a two-step process for others in the past.
I'm not questioning whether 3 to 2, I'm just asking you if you're confident you took enough time to make the decision.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. That's all I was asking. I apologize for laboring. I don't have any further questions.
Anybody else have any discussion? Alright,
Is there, well, sorry, is there, and this may have been asked, so I came in late, is there any chance that she will not accept at this point? Is it negligible that she would not accept?
No, it is my belief that she will absolutely accept. If she declined at this point, I would be very surprised, but
That's fair.
life presents
Can't be some,
surprises.
Salary-wise, we're, from my understanding, just from what I looked at, we're under where Mr. Carlson and Ms. Labruzzi was,
Yes,
right? And this is obviously a raise and a step up for her.
yes, it
Again,
is.
from what I saw of her last,
Very much so.
how current data is, that you can look up, right? So it's obviously a step up for her, but it's not as expensive as it was for us this past year in terms of the two individuals that left this year, correct?
Yes, I think for a number of reasons this is a positive, not least of which that the two former assistant principals who were veteran educators, particularly in district, may have felt a degree of a disparity between their salaries and others, and I was not unaware of that. And I don't mean that it impacted their performance anyway, but it was relevant. The number that I'm recommending here is according to the HPAA contract, where this is the,
Starting spot.
yes, sir.
Starting spot,
Yes,
right.
it is.
Okay.
While certainly this is not someone who's been in education, say, for 30 years, who is going to, essentially, it's a financial sidestep. It is not. It is likely a significant step. But this is the incentive for a young person who's passionate, bright, and driven and ambitious to get into administration.
anybody else? Alright, roll call.
Ms. Clymer,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Yes,
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Boyke,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Neely,
Yes. Alright, number 2, recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approve the following summer custodian workers, and that is Noah Francois at $8.60 per hour. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on item number 2?
This is a young man who comes highly recommended. I do know him, fine young man from a nice family who is gonna do a good job, but whose paperwork was not in on time to have been on the agenda in June. And the fact that we were meeting this evening to have one agenda item, we decided to throw this one in as well.
Is he a student?
He is,
Question.
will be a sophomore now,
Right,
yes.
okay.
Alright, roll call.
Mr. Kehoe,
yes,
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Boyke,
I'm gonna recuse myself, he's my neighbor, so.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Clymer,
Yes.
Mr. Neely.
Yes. Alright, public comment? Nobody? Fran? That's it, right? Alright, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright.
Thank you very much for taking the time to come up here, I appreciate it. I think it benefits us as a district and a